Well, I've done it. I've completed every edition of this book. I've been working on this since 2012. Now I feel I am fit to discuss my thoughts on the book. The 1001 book series is a favorite of mine because you can grab almost any topic and it will give you a good starting point for said topic. But 1001 albums is a bit of a mixed bag compared to, say, a book that makes you watch a movie where Italian kids eat shit, or a book that tells you should eat horse meat. 1001 Albums You Must Hear Before You Die is a series that lists 1001 albums you must hear before you die. They usually update every few years and they replace entries often to keep it the number at 1001 entries. The albums within the book tend to be popular albums, but there will also be surprising entries that are usually only popular by cult status. Each entry comes with an essay that basically talks about the context of the album and some interesting tidbits about it. And a lot of the albums in the book come with track listings, which I really love. As you can see here, it lists the track names right here, and it will give you little arrows pointing at tracks that the critic who wrote the essay considers important, and I have been doing the same with the entries in this book that come with the track listings. I highly recommend, when you get the book, reading the preface and introduction because it goes over the history behind the book and some of the some justifications behind the choices, which not all of which I agree with, but it also gives a brief history of albums, of the album format. Probably my favorite thing about these books is watching each edition attempt to fix its past mistakes. Like, for instance, the 2000s editions tend to have a lot of UK indie rock, and then they gradually began being removed once the critics at the round table sat there and went, well, in retrospect, that album's kind of shit. While you will get pissed off if you have a favorite album that's removed from future editions, it's nice seeing them attempt to keep albums that are deemed worthwhile. And it's also very useful to see what albums were dominating critics' minds during its time of publication. It's kind of a literary demonstration of retrospective music. Like, when a new style comes along and you're just bombarded with it, it's hard to process it and decide which albums are going to be remembered. The book still has UK indie albums, for example, but the ones that are deemed worthwhile to remember, at least for the most part. This edition from 2021 has a lot of alternative R&B, and surely a lot of these albums will be removed from future editions. Probably my biggest gripe with this book is that it has virtually no non-Western albums. The few that aren't Western in this book are usually saturated with Western production, with the only examples I can think of off the top of my head are Shankar and the Sholay soundtrack. It's like the critics figured that readers would be scared away from albums that aren't in Latin script. That being said, there are selections in this book that I was really surprised to see. Like, there are some pretty obscure selections, at least by mainstream standards, and some albums like Slint, Boards of Canada, Laibach, things like that. And the book goes over a surprising amount of Western genres. So, while there could be a lot of improvements over the selection in this book, you can tell that the critics just didn't pull popular albums out of their ass. Also, if you're used to popular music, this book will still challenge you to some extent. Right now, I would like to discuss some improvements that I would like to see in this book. For starters, I would like more non-Western albums in here. I'd like Western readers to have their musical maps expanded. Another improvement I'd like to see is adding albums that are relevant to the age of the internet, like go onto the Moo boards and 4chan, or go into patrician music chart posting and add albums that are generally popular there. Although of course this book has albums that tend to be in or discussed a lot on those boards. I'd also like to see them explore music before 1955, the year the book starts. Where's Dust Bowl Ballads? And also I'd like to see them whittle down the artists that have like way too many albums, like Neil Young or Elvis Presley, who have like obscene amounts of albums in this book. It's kind of like 1001 Songs, which has like 50 Elvis songs in it. Where's the exploration? Let Elvis battle JXL like he's meant to be doing. Personally, I like to add albums that would really mama the reader's Mia. Like, put some noise albums or meme albums, like the ZZCC mixtape, or Plantasia, or even put those weird religious LPs with those kids' puppets singing about adultery and beating your wife. A very weird fluke that this book has is a lot of the essays are actually outdated. The essay for Loveless, for example, says that it is their only album they have disbanded. However, they say this while their third album, NBV, was included in a future edition of the book. With all this being said, I can't judge the book too much. It's Western-centric, sure, but it paints a decent picture of music history. And with 1,200 plus albums explored, you're bound to have numerous entries that you'll love and hate. So you have more than enough to explore, and I would highly, highly recommend this book to anyone just getting started in music. And those are my thoughts on this book. And I know new editions will keep coming out. I'm going to keep listening to the new entries. And I'll keep seething about the selections, and I'll keep cheering about the selections. I was personally very happy to see Fetch the Bolt Cutters in this edition. But yeah, I will find more books to review, and I will see you guys later.